This week's episode of Pickin'N'Puttin. That's swag we got, and that's Sweden in the background. I don't know if that's Robert's hometown or not, but we'll find out. He'll let us know about that. Hey, Robert, how are you, man?
Good.
Okay, I got
that. Is not my hometown. That is not my hometown.
Oh no, your hometown was.
Come on.
I looked it up. I knew what it was. Katarina. No, that's not it.
Yeah, no, keep going.
It's sort of like that, right? Wait a second. I have some Swedish to talk to you later. So I got so okay, well, so what is your hometown? Tell us.
Katrineholm.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's good. You did very well. Yeah.
I did know Katarina. Well, okay. We'll start off with a trivia question.
Okay.
Because I heard this weekend, so now you'll know. So when was the last time the first round leader of the end of the year European Championship went on to win the tournament?
So the last time, I got no idea.
The guy's name was Robert Karlsson.
There we go.
It was 2010, I think.
Okay.
And you lost. You beat Polder in a playoff.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, yep. There you go. See,
yeah, there we go.
I stumped you.
No, there we go.
I figured you'd have that one. Well, I got a few shout.
I live here now, so I haven't watched that much European golf.
No,
I did watch a little bit over the weekend, actually, but not much.
In all honesty, I didn't. I just saw that Colin Morikawa won and that Rory ripped his shirt up, and that was about all I saw. So Rory must have had a bad day. Yeah, I got some shout outs, and I think I've done these before. I had the Swedish chef, Alfred Nobel, Bjorn Borg, Zlatland, and Bo Parnevik. But the other one I had was Podrick. I wanted to do a shout out to him because I really enjoyed the way he did the Ryder Cup, and I just enjoy him as I watch. He does these teaching videos. You ever seen those on Twitter?
I've seen a few.
They're not bad. He does them from his back. He does them from his backyard. Yeah. So, well, tell me a little bit. Here's something I dug up that I looked up, and I just found this about an hour ago, actually. So your father was a greenskeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did that go? How did you grow up in the golf course? I mean, were you like me? You just probably walked out your back door and just played from the time you could walk.
Yeah, up till I was 8 years old, my dad was a car mechanic, and we lived in another village, probably 3 or 4 miles from the golf course. So I didn't play golf until he came home. He started working on the golf course and came home with the golf club. And I actually started playing across a soccer field because right behind the goal it was the sand pit where you do the long jump.
Right.
So I could make a hole in the sand. So that's kind of where I started, and then when I was 8, the whole family moved out to the golf course when he took the head greenkeeper job. So actually, from when I was 8, I was literally on the 4th green in Katrineholm.
Yeah, because they said that the thing I looked up said there was a plaque there by where you grew up.
Yeah,
that must be kind of fun when you go home. They probably don't even live there. Are your parents still alive?
My mom passed away a long time ago, but my dad is doing well. So he's still there, but he's not in that house anymore. But definitely and I was lucky enough. The 5th hole, because we lived on the 4th. The 5th hole was terrible. It was a big mound right in front of the green. So the first thing my dad he did on the course was actually redesign the 5th hole. So it became a dog leg. So I just asked him, can we just keep that 5th green so I have someone to practice? So that's where the Robert's plaque is now. It's called Robert's Green.
Really?
So it's a big, it's cool.
Well, that's kind of cool. Well, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was what was the fun when you were at the Ryder Cup as a vice captain? I mean, it just looks like that's got to be the most fun you can have with your clothes on, because you get to do all the fun stuff in that, but you don't have to take the blame for all the stuff the captain gets. Really, I mean, it's
a bit of both. I've done 2 now. Paris was obviously for me as European more fun because the outcome was different.
Yeah.
And also as a home team, you're way more involved in the setup of the course. So in Paris 3 years ago, we took the stats from our team. We tried to understand and kind of decipher the stats and then set up the golf course to our strengths. And that's a fun process to do that, because you have to do it a long time before you actually know who's going to be in the team. But the stats guys are doing a fantastic job. They picked like 15 guys, and they picked all 12 who was going to be in there. So we had a good idea on how we're going to set up the course to maximize our chances to win in Paris. And so that was a fun process. To be a vice captain on the away match is completely different, because now you kind of served the course, and we kind of have to figure out how we're going to tackle what they are doing for their best players. So that we know the course, we knew how they're going to set it up pretty much without going. We knew it's going to be less rough. We knew the greens were going to be as quick as they can do them, and also soft. They're going to take away all bumper run chips, so they let all the runoff areas grow over. So they made it kind of fly the ball to the flag, and if you miss the green, a flop shot contest.
Well,
total opposite of what we did.
Well, I kind of wondered about that, because I knew in Paris that the European captains, that you were able to, the idea was to narrow the fairways, grow the rough, take away the Bryson DeChambeaus of the world, and say, okay, you can bomb it down there, but you're going to be up your feet in grass.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, watching this one, I was going, well, this is effectively an American links course. Yeah. So I didn't know how they, that's interesting to hear you say that they could take away the bump and run, because watching it on TV, nobody's giving you that insight on TV. They're just waving the flag. So
on the, it wasn't that much they could do, because Whistling Straits is a fantastic golf course. So they don't want to change it too much.
Right.
But there's certain areas, if you had like a course guide, you can go and you can say, yeah, that doesn't really look the way it does in the book. For example, hole number 2 is a par 5. On the right side of the green is normally fairway, like 10 or 15 yards, and there's bunkers. Now it was just rough. But it doesn't look kind of wrong or odd. It just looks like, it looks kind of a little bit out of sorts, but it wasn't many places, and they couldn't do much because of course you don't want to make it too funky kind of, or too weird. The designer is a clever guy. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. And if you try to change it too much, it's going to look a bit weird.
Well,
but they done a good job.
The other thing that comes to mind with me is you just don't want to monkey with it too much. And now with the way the tours are set up, I mean, it's going back to kind of Greg Norman 25, 30 years ago, when he wanted to do a world tour, which is effectively what you have. And I think this time when you saw Morikawa win in Dubai, you go, okay, well, there's no different than Lee Westwood winning in Atlanta to me anymore. I mean, it's harder to set up the courses that the guys haven't seen. It's not where everybody just played links golf and then you came over here and you go, oh, well, this is, it's target golf, So
saying that though, it's more in our genes to play on 10 stimp. We don't like it, but we know how to do it. The Americans hardly know how to do it. They haven't done it since they were 14, if they're any good, and if they've been on good clubs, and they have very limited experience, even though they've done it. But when it gets on to very like high pressure situations, you tend to revert to what you're most used to. So a European guy would feel more comfortable when the greens are on the slower side than an American player. And again, if you have a bumper run up and over a slope, the European guy, he's done it through 10, 15, 20 years of his career. American, he's done it now a couple of weeks a year, and he can do it, but he wouldn't feel as comfortable as Lee Westwood, for example.
Well, I mean, it's like,
they can, but it's not as much different. Everybody can do it.
Well, it's like the Americans couldn't play wind unless they grew up in Texas, Oklahoma, or Florida. Yeah. And it's funny that you said that, because when I was growing up, Nicholas, when he grew up in Central Ohio, the greens at Scioto Country Club, where he grew up, were probably, I don't know, I would have guessed they were 12, who knows, 11 or 12, but
quick.
They were quick. But then when he would go to Florida, he couldn't play true Bermuda greens, which truly had grain. So that's why he initially moved to Florida. It wasn't for taxes or anything else. He moved there to learn how to win in Florida. And I think way back when, the Augusta National greens, probably in the 60s and 70s, were 8. They weren't 10. If you go back and look at, that's why those guys like a Billy Casper putted the way they did. But well, tell me something else. One of the things that I question going forward for the Europeans is, and you'd have more insight into this. The one thing you saw this time, it's like watching an NFL football team in the United States, and the guys, you feel like, okay, their window is closing, and you feel like, okay, you had Lee, you had Ian Poulter, and who's always a great Ryder Cup player, but you have those guys,
Casey,
and you need
Casey
to have
Garcia.
and you need to have some more John Rahm stepping in there. I like.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely coming to windows that is closing. I would say out of the guys that were there, I mean, West would be very unlikely he plays another one. Right. You would think it's going to be unlikely that Poulter might be able to squeeze another in there, but I would hope other younger players comes and takes over. We have a little bit of a gap in Europe. At the moment, it's not so many guys coming from behind us we would have hoped for. Someone like Wiesberger is a good player, but he's not a young guy. He's been around for quite a long time, even though
Victor Hovland. Yeah,
but we need another 4. We can't. Can we just clone him and make 4 of them? That'd be great.
Well, what about? I mean, based on sort of like the women have done, I'm surprised that maybe through Germany and parts of Eastern Europe, maybe your part of the world, especially when you think back of Annika and stuff like that. The South Koreans and the women in South Korea, they've just basically developed a program almost militaristic, where they're turning out these lady golfers that are just dominating the world tour. And you wonder if I don't know if seasonal changes, and all these kids come to the US to play golf now. So college golf.
Yeah.
So
it's a tricky thing. We have players coming. One player that I was hoping on was Matt Wallace. He didn't really come through this year. I'm sure he's going to show up he's going to come back. He's going to have good seasons. We have 2 really, really good Danish guys, but they're only 20, 21, maybe 22. The Højgaard, they both won on tour now, the twins. Very, very good players. So we might have a little bit of a gap. But saying that, though, in Europe now and in Sweden, if you take my home country, Sweden, it's not so easy to develop new players. We have a hell of a lot of golf being played on the courses, which is great because golf is exploding. Right. But it also makes it very busy on the golf courses. And we do not have the golf courses as you have in America with here in the Charlotte area, you have your Quail Hollows and your Longviews, where you have fantastic practice facilities. These courses in Sweden, they normally have 2,000 members, 1,500 members, and you have to book a time maybe 2 days before if you're going to play. So it's hard for kids coming up. It's not so easy to go out and play your spontaneous golf and to be 5 hours on the putting greens. The members don't like it. So it's a balance for the clubs to develop the juniors and to satisfy the members' needs.
Well, how does that work? Because it's been a while since I've been over to like England and Scotland, but there were no practice facilities. You basically swung a club in the parking lot, took some clubs, and off you went. Now they'll take the 5th fairway and make it like at St. Andrews. They can take the new course and say, okay, that's the driving range, but they don't do that for the average guy. So the kids, they'd have to play at a lesser caliber place, I guess. I don't know how that would work.
But that's usually on the very, very old traditional golf courses. We don't have any courses in Sweden that don't have a decent practice facility. because Swedes love to practice.
Yeah.
They love to develop the game. They love to practice. The clubs are making a lot of money on the driving range because you pay for the balls. Every bucket of ball you pay for. So it's a good revenue source. So all the clubs in Sweden, they do have ranges. That's not a problem. But the quality of the balls are probably not as good, and most likely you're going to hit off mats. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. But I think.
But you know,
Europe, yeah.
Oh no, I was going to say, just sitting here doing this, it just was dawning on me. That's the other way in the future with kids. Somehow you're going to be able to take this, and you're in a room like that, and you can sit there and hit balls, and I can be sitting halfway around the world and telling you, no, take it back over here. Your hands are.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so you could have a coach that can talk to you from halfway around the world.
The last, I would say, the last year and a half, I would say I've seen my swing coach who's Swedish, probably 3 times face to face. But we've done a lot of FaceTime lessons between tournaments, between rounds. He's been sitting up in the garage because his wife has gone to bed in Sweden. And after the round, I call him and he sits in his garage. And my caddy holds the telephone and we go FaceTime. Yeah.
And watches you swing.
Perfect. Yeah. I give feedback on the shots. So it's really developing, and you can make things work under not great circumstances, but at the end of the day it's probably more down to quality of the balls, quality of the surfaces you hit from, bunkers, what kind of feedback can you get if your equipment, your greens are not good enough, and that's a challenge in the northern part of Europe in general. But
are the greens bent?
Mainly Poe greens, like California a bit, but slower. Season is very short, so the grass is thicker, it's longer. We have, I would say, my home club in Katrineholm, that's about an hour south of Stockholm. A good season, we have good greens. Good greens. So I say that I'm hoping for like 10 on the stimp or 10 above. We can have 3 or 4 weeks. That's kind of it.
Yeah,
because the clubs don't. July, August, because the members don't really want it because it's too difficult.
Right.
A lot of play, and it's really difficult. It slows down playing speeds or the round times, and people don't want that because they are out there to enjoy their golf. And average handicap of my home club is about 18 to 20, so they want to be around quickly and then have a cup of coffee and enjoy the game. Yeah.
Well, how do you?
So it's a different thing.
How does the regular tour pro, because this, I know since all the greens in the Southeast have changed to this new Bermuda, which I'm sure the greenskeepers love because it's hard to damage it. Doesn't make a lot of ball marks. The problem for the average golfer is if you don't hit the ball high, they don't hold. And then the breaks on these kind of Bermuda greens are very subtle. In other words, I tell people, if you go out to Quail Hollow, is that if you have a 10-foot putt and you want to hit it with speed, there is no break. I don't care if you're on the side of a hill, but if you're not Tiger Woods and willing to take a 4-footer coming back, you got to play a little. But
they're gonna break, yeah.
But with speed, they don't break as much. And so that, to me, when I watch the regular tour guys and you go from Poe to bent to this, the sand caught, that's got to be. That's why you end up having courses you like, horses for courses, so to speak, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, players, they grow up on bent or on Bermuda greens. They're used to Bermuda. They read it much better than someone who's not used to it. I mean, that's why we pray for having really, really quick greens on Bermuda, because it kind of takes out a little bit of that grain. Yeah. When we play, us Europeans, we play on the European Tour, usually a couple of events in Asia. It could be in Malaysia or in Singapore, and we've been on a couple of courses where the greens have not been great, and the Asian players, they out putt us like nothing you've seen. It's just like the Asian players, because we usually play a co-sanctioned event.
Yeah, and
the Asians are just so much better at it. They just see it and they almost chip it. They hit the putts with a little bit of a flight on it, so it kind of comes up.
It's like hammer, like
they just
a Sal Aoki, and he's before your time.
Yeah. I have actually played with him.
Tilted the putter on and snapped it, you know, kind of like Bobby Locke, who's way outdated me. Well, tell me something. I got a couple of questions for you that are kind of fun. One was, what, in terms of the Ryder Cup, and we'll leave that Ryder Cup stuff alone, but what's the most fun? What's the thing in the team room that's just fun besides ping pong? Or is it guys?
We didn't have ping pong this year either.
You guys didn't have ping pong. Okay.
Yeah, well, we had actually, but it wasn't as much use because it was in some a little bit of different room. I think it's just being able to spend time with the other players in a different way. We kind of forced to or we choose to on the European side to spend a lot of time in the evenings having dinners together. You're feeling it together against having a kind of a common goal to try to achieve the week. It's a different, definitely a very different feeling compared to all the other tournaments we play. And then obviously it's a special feeling, I think, to go out on that stage and be presented for the crowds.
Like,
and,
yeah,
the opening ceremony is pretty special. Even though the actual event itself is not so, I mean, it's not so glamorous or anything like that. But they've been sitting up there a couple of times and been standing there a couple of times as a player. It's a pretty special memory to have. Even though at the time when you do it, it's maybe not, you think you're laughing all the time, but it's like, yeah, that was pretty big. It's pretty cool, actually. So,
well, I heard a thing where Colin Montgomery said, how did you get over the first tee jitters? He says the worst place is the first tee at the Ryder Cup. He said, and what I used to do is I'd stand there and I'd count the stars on the American flag. You know, I'd see if there were really 50. And then he said, I'd do my 37 tables. 1 times 37 is 37. 2 times 37 is 74. And he said, I'd do that. And he said, I would get so zoned in. And then they say, you're on the tee, you're on tee. And he'd go hit. And he said, that's how I got through it without that. Well, back to saying about the, you were talking about the fun of that. Well, to me, that's where you're playing now. Is that not what the Senior Champions Tour feels like? It's a little bit like we've been there, done that. So it's more fun. I mean, you're going to play around, then go have a glass of wine with Bernhard or whatever.
Well, Bernhard doesn't drink much because he's on the range. Tell you what, okay. I mean, I would say.
I'm serious. I agree.
Tour, on the Champions Tour, there is, I would say, three types of players. The ones that are really, really enjoying, they're kind of on the last stab on the tour. They just enjoying having a glass of wine with their friends. Then the other guys are a little bit in between, and then you have the guys who really want to be out there and play. And up there, that's usually the guys who are younger, new on the tour. Some of the guys really need to work hard to stay on. Tour school guys are usually out there. They know that if we don't take this chance, we're off straight away. It's a bit different if you've been on there for maybe 15, 20 years, and you know, even on a good weekend, I might finish 40th. So it's a few different categories of players. But definitely, I mean, it's a handful of players, so it's 10, 15 guys that really, really work hard at it. And obviously Langer is one of them, and some of the guys here in the newer generation. I mean, Phil Mickelson, when he comes out, he's working. He's not having a glass of wine with the friends. He might do in the evenings, but it's still serious business. It's a reason why the guys on the Champions Tour are there.
Yeah,
because they've been working very hard and they're used to it. They want to do it. We are here because we've done really well in our early part of the career. You can't just sort of keep playing and sort of doing a halfway. It's not really how it works. We don't work so that way as people. So I think it's maybe a little bit overrated. It is nicer off the course, yes, but it's not lazy because there's a big step between the two. Yeah.
Well,
but it's definitely enjoyable.
Yeah. And yeah. And, you know, it just seems like watching everybody that they're having more fun. Yeah. Bernhard is kind of like watching Tom Brady for golf. I mean, he's so repetitive. But, you know, I think the hardest part to me about that would be the travel. You know, after a point, you'd say, you know, because it sounds to me like he's playing 20-some weeks a year doing that. And
I don't think he missed one event this year, maybe one. I don't know. I heard someone say that he played all of them. I think actually he missed 1 or 2, but still, he's playing so much. Yeah. The good thing with our tour is they usually try to put the events kind of close together. So we played, for example, Tulsa, Des Moines, and Wisconsin back to back. So when we came to Tulsa, we rented a car and drove for the next 3 weeks. Next 3 events. No, you don't need to travel. And as we only, of those 3 weeks, as I used an example, it was 2 tournaments with Friday through Sunday. So you can use Monday, Tuesday as a little bit of a small break if you feel like it's important to get that extra time. Yeah. So if you're smart about it, you can play quite a bit. And if you can handle being on the road, not necessarily sitting in an airplane, but drive a bit and just see something in Wisconsin when you get there, or whatever you choose to do. You can create little small mini breaks so you can keep playing more events. But I've been kind of evaluating my season now, and I'm still sort of thinking about what I did. Possibly should do different next year and things on. Yeah. So it's all a learning process, I think.
Well,
I mean, Langer's it's doing the same thing.
Well, it's interesting you say about the working and the guys work at it. I think that's just true of life. I go back and say we probably could all go back to college age and make straight A's knowing what we know now compared to the way we did it when we were 20. So you come out on the tour when you're 22 to 30, and the way you treat it and now that's not everybody, but a lot of guys come out, like Raymond Floyd. And it wasn't until he met his wife that he got his wings clipped that he kind of came in, and then he won his major. So it's kind of fun to watch that, but that's true of everybody. It doesn't matter what your occupation is. It doesn't have to be golf. So,
no.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. I had one other. Oh, I know what it was. So tell me a couple quick questions. You've traveled everywhere. What's your favorite airline?
Oh, favorite airline. Ooh.
Best service in your mind.
So it's probably Emirates Airlines.
Okay. Yeah. I
probably.
wondered if it was either Emirates or KLM. I didn't know about them.
No KLM. No.
Or
I've had some mixed experiences with KLM, but
so Emirates. Yeah. Okay.
But saying that, I try to avoid them because they're really picky on the luggage, and it costs us a lot. So even if they got good status, they charge us per kilo over. So I try to avoid them, but the experience when you get on the flight is usually good.
Well, and you don't have a lot of reason to fly Qantas. So, no. I mean, unless you're going there, I mean, I don't know what other reason you'd fly that. No. The other question I had for you was, tell me what makes Dubai special? What is it like an American Las Vegas? Only it's,
kind of, because it's kind of an American, or it's like a Las Vegas, but without drinks in general. You can drink on some of the golf clubs. You can drink on in the hotels and some pubs, but it's generally drier. But apart from that, the golf courses are first class, and there's quite a few of them. Otherwise, I've been in Abu Dhabi as well, and I've been in Saudi Arabia. I've been in Qatar, Bahrain. So we played in a whole bunch of those places. All the places, the golf courses are great. Yeah. So the golf courses are really, really, it's just more of them in Dubai, and they're further along kind of the road of.
Well, money wasn't an issue. Yeah, no. Money was. No. I saw that one picture from 1990 to this year, and the view of coming down 18, and then you see the skyline. It's just crazy. Crazy.
I was there in 1992, my first time, and they said, it's going to be a harbor down there. It's going to be skyscrapers. Like, yeah, right, sure. It was my first thought, and I mean, now they're all there now.
Well, I mean, it had to feel like you'd gone to the end of the world too. I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, I got a couple things for you. I've got my usual, and I've got some quotes for you.
Okay, so you better.
Last time you criticized my Swedish. I'm studying 4 languages on this Duolingo, but I'm not doing Swedish. I'm doing German. I'm doing German, Spanish, French, and Czech.
Okay, the German can help you a bit. The other 3, I think, is not help you much.
I want to tell you what. If you do Czech, it's the same as doing the New York Times crossword. It's just hard. The only thing worse would be Chinese. Okay, so I got 2 for you. Now you're gonna have to give me some, and I'll see if I can say them. And you say Okay. Lingen Kopa Eisen. Lingen.
Lingon.
Yeah, Lingon, Ko,
Yeah.
Pa.
Ingen ko på isen.
Yeah.
Ingen ko på isen. Yeah. No cow on the ice. There's no cow on the ice.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Don't worry. There you go. See?
Yeah,
okay, Lingen
no
Kopa Isen. Okay, I like that.
Ingen ko på isen.
Okay, now here's the other one. Now this one I know I'll get wrong too. Ligger en hund begraven.
Det ligger en hund begraven. Yeah. Det ligger en hund begraven. Yeah.
There's a dog buried here.
Yeah. Something fishy going on.
Yeah, something fishy going on. Okay. Well, that was it. I
You did better with us.
Well, I tried to. This time I actually said, okay, because I looked up the on ice. I said, well, isen. Okay, that's just
Isen,
Isen is ice. Yeah. Co is
cool.
Coo. Yeah. So whatever. So
good.
Well, hey, I really appreciate it. I'm for everybody that's out there watching. Robert's playing the Champions Tour in the United States, and he had a really good year. He had to bow out of the last tournament because he was having some pains, but played a tour championship and had a good money year. And hopefully next year will be better, and you'll space yourself out so you can take care of yourself.
That's the idea.
So I thank you much for being on the show. We look forward to seeing you again, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. That was it. We had fun with Robert Karlsson, vice captain of the European Ryder Cup team. Robert, we'll see you again. Loved having you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. See you later.
See you later, man.